What is up, people? It is me, Monster58. Welcome back to another video review, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Studio Series Transformers 1 Deluxe Class Arachnid. One of the most, in my opinion, one of the coolest designs that we got out of the movie, and obviously Sentinel Prime's right-hand Transformer. And so when it comes to Arachnid, I was very curious too, just like many other people, on how they were going to do this character, because she had a very unique design both in her robot mode and in her alt mode and alt modes, I guess you could consider them, because considering she could use her like spider legs essentially. So I was very curious to what they were going to do, and I was honestly really surprised it was going to be deluxe. Now, when I did see online that she didn't have a waist joint and she didn't have ankle pivot, or ankle rocker joints, I was really disappointed. But given what everyone's been saying about this figure online, and when I actually got this figure in hand, I was very surprised. To tell you right now, this is a really, really good figure. It's not without its issues though, but at the end of the day, it's really, really solid. So taking a look at the box here, you can obviously see the nice Transformers, the Studio Series, Transformers 1, Arachnid right there, and the Decepticon logo. Obviously, see she transforms in 36 steps. Then you can see the very nice artwork here of Arachnid, both in her robot mode as well as in her alt mode. Then you can see here some more nice artwork here. And then you can see some more nice artwork here of Arachnid herself as she appeared on the front of the box as well. And then finally, your obligatory product shots on the back. And then her, obviously, how she appeared in the film right there in the upper left. So when it comes to the box, I think they did a really, really good job as per usual. And so, folks, without further ado, alrighty, folks, here we have the Transformers Studio Series Transformers 1 Deluxe Class Arachnid in her alt mode, or, well, more like a Cybertronian ship mode. And guys, I gotta say, it represents her on-screen alt mode really, really well. I'll put it in the upper left right now just to give you an idea of how it looked. But overall, I think they did a really good job at getting this pretty much on point with how it looked in the film. And so taking a look at the details here, it does look pretty interesting and pretty cool. Kind of reminds me of, like, I'll put I don't know what it's called. I'll put one of those pictures of this military helicopter style thing on screen right now. But one of those things that they used in Dark of the Moon when they were they were essentially like gliding themselves into Chicago. Those types of like helicopter style, aircraft, and that's what this kind of reminds me of in a way because of these rotors here on the side. But you do have those nice rotors that are molded in. Again, it's kind of weird, but you do have some guns here as well. No like landing gear or anything, but she sits perfectly fine just like this. And then this little part, this little rotor can spin. Now, one of the issues I do have with my copy is, in particular, this back part doesn't like to stay tabbed together. You can see this comes apart very easily. It doesn't like to tab in super well on my copy. I don't know how well that is, how well that tabs in on, other people's copies, but for me in particular, this doesn't like to tab in particularly nicely. But overall, when it comes to how this looks, I mean, I think they did a really good job, and she's actually really clean, all things considered. Like, it's kind of kibbly, but it's kibbly in, like, the least offensive way possible, in my opinion. It just represents the on-screen alt mode really, really nice. I just like all the details, nice and molded. Now, at the end of the day, she is very much more or less one note with this very dark gunmetal gray color, but that was her design in the movie. You do see some nice breaking up of that color with this red here, but there's not that much else beyond that. And again, can you fault the figure for really having this color when that's actually how she was? At the end of the day, sure, from a visual standpoint as an actual figure, it doesn't maybe give you some great visual, like ease on your eyes because it's so same across the whole thing. But overall, the details, the looks, I think they got that perfectly well, and I'm really, really happy with how this alt mode turned out, despite maybe the color and this like loose tab here on the back here. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna set her off to the side here, and we're gonna bring in some size comparisons. Alrighty, folks, here she is with the Transformers Legacy United Infernac Universe Deluxe Class Magnus. As you can see, she's pretty much an average deluxe size. She's a little bit bigger because of that big rotor on the back, but at the end of the day, average deluxe size when it comes to her vehicle mode. No complaints there. Alrighty, folks, here she is with the Transformers Studio Series Transformers 1 Deluxe Class Megatron, Deluxe Class Optimus Prime, and I just realized I'm missing that little front bit, but yes, that's Deluxe Class Optimus Prime. And finally, her boss, Voyager Class Sentinel Prime. Alrighty, folks, for her transformation, it's not really hard at all. I wouldn't necessarily consider it super difficult, but it is a little bit fiddly because of how she kind of folds together. And there is one part that I'm not the biggest fan of, and that's not really as at fault of maybe necessarily the figure itself. It's more of the design of one of the tabs, and you'll see what I mean. So, first thing I like to do is you can split this back part, and then you can fold the rotor in. Now, I believe that the transformation actually shows you to send this off to the side, but I don't really think that matters all that much. Then from here you can split this part, and then you can start to extend these legs, and this helps get all this kibble out of the way. Like to extend them like that, and then you can fold them out like so. Then what you're going to do is basically you're going to fold this part up, and then you'll start to rotate this entire section because this will become her, her back. Okay, and okay, we're okay with that. So this tab is the only thing that really scares me. Okay, so it's a little hook tab, and then it tabs into the back of what will become what her head is. And unfortunately, because of how it is, you can see that there's a little stress mark on there. And I'm thinking of cutting the top hook part so that it doesn't hook as tough into that, so that this doesn't risk breaking, because I was watching that Toy Guys review and he said that he had one of his friends actually break his. So definitely would recommend cutting that little hook part on that tab just so that it's not at risk of snapping inside of her head or anything like that and breaking. So like I said, you want to take that out and you can start to bend this down, and then here you can go and untab these, what will become her legs from her arms. And then what you'll do, this part's annoying for me because you untab this, you can rotate this all the way around like so, then you can rotate this down, rotate this all the way around, then you can fold what will become her legs, fold this up like so, like this, and tab that into place, and then tab that all the way down. Now what you're supposed to do is rotate this all the way around, and then you're supposed to, well, I actually did it this time without break. This thigh pad, for me in particular, likes to get loose, and it likes to pop off a lot more than I'd like to admit, so just want to point that out for my copy. Then do the same thing on this side, so again, just untab this, then you can rotate this all the way around like so, then you can rotate this, rotate this around on this joint, and as you're pushing this up, you can fold the leg down, rotate this forward, snap that into place, and fold this all the way down. And then you can take this section, rotate it all the way around, and then put it where the thigh is. Then you can untab the arms from the back, and then tab them like so, like this. Fold this down, fold the head up, like so. Then you can just tab this all back into place. Then for the back section, it's a bit funky, so there's a multitude of different ways you can do this and however you like it to be, but you essentially will fold this down, and then you'll see that there's a tab hole there and there's a tab there. You can tab that right into place like so. Then you can take this section and you can fold it down. Now the way, however you want to organize the arms, it's up to you. I like to rotate these down like so, the smaller legs. Then you can take these sections and then you can rotate, and there's that part. You can rotate this up like so, and then I just like to fold them down like this, and you can keep them like this, however you wish to do so. You can keep them like this. This is how I personally like to do it. Then you can, again, rotate these around like so, like that. Then you can rotate it like that, then do something like this. Just position them nicely. And then for her hands, which by the way can fold out into guns as well, which is cool, you just open these, rotate the hands out. Come on, rotate the hands out, like so. Same thing here, so fold this up, you can rotate the hands out. And well, ladies and gentlemen, here we have the Transformers Studio Series Transformers 1 Deluxe Class Arachnid in her robot mode. And guys, when I put her off to the side here and we put a picture of how she appeared in the actual film right here, she looks absolutely fantastic. I mean, she really represents her on-screen character extremely well. Now, yes, one of the caveats that you can absolutely say is that she does have a backpack, but at the end of the day, considering what they were able to do with her robot mode and really drive home what that design that she had in the film, I'm actually really, really happy with it. Sure, the backpack is rather large, but at the end of the day, I mean, it's one of those things where, well, the character had a backpack in the film with all her legs and everything like that. So even though that there is a large backpack, it's very accurate to the film, and so I can't really complain. Sure, maybe on the display it'll definitely get in the way, but at the end of the day, she's really good. Now, one thing you can do with the legs is you can actually like get her into some of her poses that she was in the movie, like where she was balancing herself on just her back legs. But I'll tell you this, it's a little bit fiddly, and I'll definitely show those in like some of the pictures. I'll do my best to. And it's not like they can't support her weight, but you really have to sort of get them in really good spots to be able to support her weight, but they can, and that's really, really cool. So you can absolutely get her in a mode where she's not even using her legs. She can actually just use these legs as her actual legs. In addition to that, you can get her into that scene in the film when she's like fighting all the other like small Autobots, and then she like gets on her back legs, and then she like spins on her back legs and then starts to shoot and hit people. That's also another scene that you can absolutely get, because she can actually balance herself on these legs, which is, again, really, really cool that she can do that. But taking a look at the details here, you can see her head sculpt is really, really nice. Those purple eyes that just very, like, I don't know, like no nonsense face. Just looks really good, and it's really shaped very nicely. It looks exactly how it did in the film. Can't really complain. The nice silver for the face as well. Then you got the red, obviously. You got this nice detail coming down through here, and then coming down through here, she just looks really, really solid. Very, very clean. Like, sure, this part doesn't look the best, but again, she had a backpack in the film with all of her legs and everything, and I can't complain about that. Now, one thing that's not accurate are the heels, but I don't care because at the end of the day, her heels help her be stable, and I still don't understand really, like, when you're looking at this figure standing up, I still don't understand how she is so stable despite her having literally like 2 centimeters of toe space, of like flat-footed toe space. It's actually kind of crazy that they were able to get her to be so stable despite having literally like toothpicks for legs. So really, really hats off to the designers for being able to do that. And so overall, when it comes to how she is in her robot mode, honestly fantastic. Sure, the backpack is a little obtrusive, but at the end of the day, she did have a backpack in the film, especially with her legs, and so that's nothing that I can really complain about, and I'm not going to knock against the figure for it. She just looks really, really good. So, what we're going to do is we are going to set her off to the side here, and we are going to be doing some size comparisons. Here she is with the Transformers Legacy United Infernac Universe Deluxe Class Magnus. As you can see, she's a little bit larger than an average Deluxe, but you'll see that she kind of is a little bit smaller than Optimus, Megatron, as well as Sentinel. And that's actually by a fair bit than I expected. Here she is with the Transformers Studio Series Transformers 1 Deluxe Class Megatron, Deluxe Class Optimus Prime, and her boss Voyager Class Sentinel Prime. Alrighty, folks, for our articulation, this is where she kind of falls a little bit flat. At the end of the day, she doesn't really have the best articulation. I'm going to tell you, no waist joint, no ankle rocker pivot. But when it comes to her articulation, her head is on the ball joint, so you can actually look up and down a little bit. You can do a full rotation up there, full 360. You can also do full 360 at the shoulders, but you can go out, not really that far. You can go in, a 90-degree bend at the elbow, rotation here. And then the cool thing with this is that, like I showed you, you can actually have her hands be guns instead of hands if you wish to do so. But no wrist articulation, which is also a bit of a shame. Legs can kick forward, they can kick back, 90-degree bend at the knee, and the rotation at the upper part of the thigh, and then these are all on joints. So you can see that this is on this joint, this is on another joint here, and then this is on the joint as well. So you can get some really solid articulation out of the sort of the spider legs is what I'll just refer to them as, I guess. And then in addition to that, these legs are on joint there and a joint here, and then they have a ball joint there, and this is also a ball joint, so you can rotate this. I showed you earlier, you can rotate this all the way around, whichever combination you want, or orientation you want, excuse me. So you can get her into some interesting poses. I think the value of the posing of this figure more or less comes with the fact that of her like spider style legs, right? Her spider legs. You can balance her on them and stuff like that. You can actually get some cool poses out of that. But her actual just sort of robot mode, when you sort of remove the spider legs, she doesn't really have the best articulation. But surprisingly, like I told you earlier, she's very, very stable, which is a huge surprise. Alrighty guys, now before we get into the reverse transformation, the one thing I did forget to show is that these guns are actually removable. I just like keeping them in there. You can peg them into these pegs here. I just like keeping them in there because that's, I believe, accurate to the film. In addition to that, I think it just looks cool. She's got like these forearm mounted guns, and I think that's really neat. But for her reverse transformation, it's just a sort of a little bit fiddly getting to her, back to her vehicle mode as it was getting into her robot mode. But it's not terrible. So what we're going to do here is we're going to fold this out, then we're just going to take her head, and we're going to fold that in like so. Then I already have this one hand folded in like that, so you can do the same thing here. You can just fold that out, rotate the hand in, and sort of get these out of the way. And then from here, what I like to do is you can extend this entire back section. We're not going to fully transform it yet, but just start to get these things in order. You can rotate this all the way around like so. Do the same thing here. Sort of rotate it all the way around just to get it out of the way. Then what you're going to want to do is that you're going to fold this up, and you're going to rotate this around, and then you are going to take the rotors, and then you're going to fan them out like so. And then what you're also going to do is you're going to take these, and then you're start to fold them like this on both sides. Then what you're going to do is you're going to see that there are tabs there on the inside, the very far inside, you can see there, and then a couple here. You're just going to tab these together, and then you can just leave them down like this for the time being. That's what I like to do, so take a little bit of doing, but you can tab these together with not too much issue. There you go. Tab those in together. Then what you're going to do is just leave this like this for now because this is going to get jumbled up anyway. So you're going to take the arms, you're going to pull them out, and then you rotate this on the way back. You'll see that there are these little hook tabs right there, and then these will hook into this little section here on the back as you push these down like this. And these will... There we go. I guess I just didn't push it up all the way, but there you go. Now they hook in pretty nicely. Then we're just going to leave them out to the side for the time being while we'll actually down a little more while we do the actual legs here. Now the legs are a little bit funky. You're going to start to fold these out like so. Then you can rotate these all the way around like this. Then you're going to rotate this around. You're going to untab this, fold this down, rotate this all the way, rotate this, just this bit around. Then you can collapse this, and what you'll see is there's a tab hole there, there's a tab right there, and then you just tab that into place like this. Then what you're going to do is take this section there it comes right off. You're going to rotate this all the way around where I just do this at this point. You'll push this out, do this like that. Again, sort of keep this section. And then what I like to do now, you can start to position this a bit better. Do the same thing on this side. Fold this out, rotate this whole section around. Start to fold this and untab this. Then you can rotate this section around, then rotate this all the way back around. Then you will tab that all into place like this. Rotate this, rotate this around like this. Push those out to the side. Now what you'll see here is that there are tab holes on the bottom. You can see that tab hole right there, and there's another one on the other side. There are tabs right here that you just, with the arms, you just tab those into place like so. Same thing here. Then tab those into place like so. And then from here, the last part is take this and hook tab, then tab that right into the back of the head. Then you can finally take this section, and then you can fold this out like so, and then you can do your best to tab these together like that. And then I'd like to take these, and then you can, well, actually I screwed this up. You rotate these around. I apologize for screwing that up, and then you tab them together, and then that gives you the clearance to actually, set this thing on the ground without worrying about it. That was my fault when we were transforming it. But once you had that all together, it took me a little bit of a second there because there's a little bit of finagling, but for the most part, it's pretty solid. Here we have the Transformers Studio Series Transformers 1 Deluxe Class Arachnid back in her Cybertronian ship mode. And so guys, for my final concluding thoughts on the Transformers Studio Series Transformers 1 Deluxe Class Arachnid, she's actually really, really surprising and very, very impressive and honestly very good. My major complaints with her is that hook tab on her head, that joint on the back of the rotor not really tabbing in all that well, the one thigh piece that I have, that thigh cover, not staying in the very best, as well as her articulation in a robot mode being pretty limited. But all things considered, what's really good about her alt mode is very accurate. In addition to that, her transformation really isn't all too bad except for that little hook tab. In addition to that, when you get her into her robot mode, she's really nicely painted and very, very good looking. She represents her on-screen character very, very well. And in addition to that, you can get some really cool poses out of her despite the lack of articulation with her spider legs. And in addition to that, despite her having essentially like toothpicks for legs, they were able to design those legs in a way where she's actually extremely stable, and that's really, really cool despite the lack of ankle rocker pivot and again having toothpicks for essentially feet. So at the end of the day, she's a really, really solid figure that I would highly recommend if you really enjoyed the Transformers 1 movie. She's a really, really cool figure, and so out of a 10, I'm actually going to give her between an 8 or a 9, inching more towards a 9, but she's a really, really good and impressive deluxe class figure that I certainly wasn't expecting them to package this much sort of detail and articulation in terms of her spider legs, as well as just the accuracy in the deluxe deluxe class figure. Thought she was going to be a Voyager for sure, but no, they were able to fit her in the deluxe class budget, and that's really impressive as of. And so, like I said, I would highly recommend you pick her up. She's a really, really awesome figure. I did pick mine up on the Big Bad Toy Store, so I'll leave a link in the description to that. Also, leave links down below to Hasbro Pulse as well as Amazon if you guys wish to use those retailers instead of Big Bad Toy Store. And if you decide to hunt her IRL, guys, I just saw her at Walmart today, like the day I'm recording this, and she's been there for like the past 2 weeks or so. So definitely be on the lookout at your local Walmarts, your local Targets if you guys wish to pick her up, because she's a really, really solid figure. Highly recommend picking her up. She's really awesome, and I definitely wish you the best of luck in hunting IRL if you decide to do that. And so I think that's really it for the review. So I thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. Please like, comment, rate, subscribe, share this video with your friends. Also follow me in the socials. Those will be linked in the description below. And with that, guys, once again, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video review, and I'll catch you on the next one. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Peace.